It's recording now. It's doing it.
Because it's embarrassingly long to do.
No, it's doing it now. Okay, so welcome to our podcast, everybody. I'm Janet.
Oh, sorry, Juliet.
And
Shabs. Hello.
And we are three wannabe writers who have doubled in writing.
I am a writer. We are writers.
We are writers. Sorry, we are writers. We have already published a lovely book together called Wayside, which you can find on Amazon. And today what we're going to talk about is getting out of the black hole of not wanting to write.
Yes.
So I think every wannabe writer or writer knows that problem. So who would like to start?
Can I just say you're really good at this, actually. It's pretty good. You got this written down somewhere, because it just, I mean, you know, just for those who may be listening, that this is Janet's first time doing a podcast.
It is my first time doing a podcast. So I'm just making it up as I go along, actually.
Yeah, but you're a teacher as well, aren't you? So you've got you've got the skills of presenting.
I didn't know you were a teacher. You know what? We've been like, how long have we been chatting?
2 years?
Not in this, not for the
3
last
years.
I mean,
3.
you know, like,
3.
yeah.
No, it's more. Yeah, it's 3 or even 4 actually. Because I'm sure COVID was going when wasn't it?
No, it was definitely just post-COVID.
Oh, post-COVID. Okay.
I mean, that entire time is a blob anyway. So
yeah, well, whenever.
So anyway, since we've begun, we've not really ever talked about what we do or who we are or anything like that. We've only just talked about, right? I mean, you know, we know that Jules was in the States for a while.
Yes.
And that you're in Spain. You're in Spain.
That's true.
Oh yeah.
Your children don't like going to bed.
I know you now live somewhere in Scotland. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Both of us. Yeah. So I'm in Argyll, and you're in
Edinburgh, and you're in somewhere in Spain.
Yeah, I'm in
Zaragoza. Yeah.
So and now you're a teacher, or you were a teacher, or you are a teacher.
I am still a teacher. Yeah.
Oh.
Wow. Yeah. So yeah, you learn something every day. Anyway.
Yeah. Sorry. What was the question?
So the question is, how do you get out of the black hole of not wanting to write anything and motivating yourself to actually write something when you just can't? You feel blocked. How do you do that?
Which is where we approach that by giving each other a task to go and do one of didn't we Google well-known writer's block beating
cures?
Yes,
fixes.
Writer's block. Yes, you can't go to Boots for that kind of cure.
You could try, but so what did we come up with? We came up with 3 things. So
it was doing something that you don't normally do or something like that.
That was what I ended up with, trying something new.
Yeah.
Which
mine was going to a new place, wasn't it? Going to.
Yes, you had to go somewhere, and how can you forget? You were meant to have done this.
Yeah, it was like, but why did you chose a cafe or something? So was it?
I did, but I didn't go to a cafe. I didn't go there.
So where did you go?
I went sailing on a boat. Does that count?
Oh, come on! You didn't write on the boat, did you?
I didn't write on the boat, but I came back and I was inspired by being on the boat.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I started a new story, which I haven't finished, but I've written part of it. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. Sorry, I've just realized.
And what was yours, Shabs?
Mine was it free writing?
Yeah.
I think it was, wasn't it? It was like some kind of free writing. And then Jules sent us a website called Hour of Rights, right? Yeah. And to be honest, I thought it was really good, a really good idea. And I went on there. And I'm embarrassed to say that I didn't know how it worked, so I just gave it. And I seriously, I went on there, sat there, and I said, all right, so I'm going to start now. But then it said something about credits and stuff like that. And I didn't know how to just get started writing, you know? And so I just did it on.
So you still did it,
or whatever.
Huh? Did it work? Did you manage to write, or did you do your?
Yeah, I did. I just went off and just wrote, because in the end, that's, I was at that moment of writing. But I found I don't, I just, there are moments when I get inspired, and it's sometimes it's when I read something, or sometimes when I watch something, and then I've just got that feeling in my head, and then I do it. And so it happened a couple of times since we last talked, and I've realized that that's a good trigger. The problem is they just come at random times. So, but and I keep it going somehow. So, for example, I read I think I may have mentioned actually, I read a short story by someone called Donald Bartholomew, and it was really great. And then it suddenly just made me want to write. So I wrote half a page or something in the same kind of style. And then the other day I was watching a series, it's like a bit of a detective noir kind of series, but very cheeky, funny, and and it gave me inspiration to go back to one of my stories and just kind of look at it from a different angle, and I really enjoyed it, and I've got that actually, so I did that today.
Any chance you would like to read that to us?
Yeah, sure, yeah, I don't mind.
Yeah.
Now,
shall we do that now, or
hey, reading's
yeah,
part of the plan.
Why not?
All right. So
we have time, I think.
Okay.
So what should we talk about while Shabs is opening his file?
It's open already. So.
Oh, it's open. Okay, let's. Oh, I'm looking forward to this.
All right. Okay. Before Mrs. Renee, before the great version update, there was the incident at Hotel 1001 Nights. V got the call sometime in the night. He was lying flat on his back with his eyes closed, palms flat on the bed, the sheets rumpled over his ankles. He'd been counting backwards from 10,000 while trying to ignore the sweat pooling on his back. 9,243 or 53. He couldn't be sure where he'd ended. But then he couldn't be sure about a lot of things these days, like the rumbling and thumping from above his ceiling was whether it was Miss Philanoma, who could hardly walk, doing the Roomba, or her Dyson 63 hoovering at this hour. Or whenever he was in the bath, he would wonder whether Dami, the council house plumber who popped around, funnily enough, every single time he was running a bath, was in cahoots with the local water mafia. And then there was the man in the hat and beige trench coat who for the last week had been watching V's apartment from across the street. He stood stiff in the entrance to Marvin's, watching, waiting, but for what? It's true to say none of these things really bothered him. If anything, they gave him something to ponder over. But Sylvie, well, she was another matter. It was Sylvie who consistently distracted him while he was counting down. She would enter his bed and whisper in his ear, taking a breath and pausing between each phrase. Good night, V. Sleep tight. Don't let those bed bugs bite. He'd slide his hand across the sheets, and then that was when he lost count and couldn't tell whether he was at 9,267 or 9,252. It had been almost a year since she'd packed her bags, taken her Singer sewing machine he'd found in a dump and fixed up for her, and left him with his bots. And that's it.
I like that you're going back to V. I like his
yeah, I like that too.
Yeah. It was I couldn't stop thinking about him actually. So, I guess I've been with this character for so long that he's really grown on me, and he's really full-fledged, at least in my head, So yeah. I know you said so yourself last time, Jules, that just when someone likes a character like that, it's just so
it's a good idea to persist
and maybe
with them,
that's a good thing as well, actually.
Yeah, I think so.
I think you have when you're in a like the black hole, I think perhaps maybe going to something that you just enjoy is good rather than something you feel like you've got to get past, right? So I think I just accepted that, look, I've got loads of other stuff that's half written and I've just gone blank. Maybe I should just have fun, and and that's it.
That's all point of writing, isn't it?
I think it's a really good point. Yeah.
Meant to enjoy it. It's
but like sometimes Yeah, yeah, I always do enjoy it, but then
You're a
yeah, actually no, I'm just
perfectionist
gonna
and a
stop it. I always enjoy
tweaker.
it. Yeah, I always enjoy it, but then some things are. I think I think I was looking at some of the stuff, like maybe I don't know if you remember, Jules, but I'd written like one full chapter of V, and I went back to that, and it just felt like I was taking it way too seriously, and it just felt so serious. And so I just no, I didn't like it anymore. So I'm gonna give it like I said, a different angle. That's all. Mm.
Well, he's a good character. I love, yeah,
I
I
think it's
enjoy.
a good point though. If you've got a character you like and you feel like you don't want to write, just go back to that character and automatically you kind of just fall back into it, don't you really? I've got that with, I suppose, Keith,
Yeah. I
you
don't have a
know.
Mm.
character, but a lot
Yeah.
of the stuff I'm writing about at the moment is based around an island.
Mm.
And that's,
Which island?
A setting.
yeah, the setting.
Mm.
It's
Mm.
based, it is Hoy, but it's
Okay,
not
yeah.
Hoy
It's a good
as it
setting.
is. It's
Yeah.
Hoy without the witches and the
Yeah.
with witches and stuff like that, and
Mm.
murderous ornithologists. But it's because I love that place, so I want to write about it. It's
And
Mhm.
then that gives you energy, right? It's really great that, and that's the
Mm.
thing. There's some stuff that you love, and then it gives you energy, and then it just moves you along. And that's what
Mm.
I had. I had no difficulty at all writing this. Now I just hope that when I get to it, like, in fact, I had to stop it 3 or 4 times and then do other stuff. So every time I
Mm.
came back, I'd read it again, and then I'd fix a
you
couple
didn't
of.
go back and start
Mm.
editing, which is what
No,
a
no,
lot of
but it's
editing
like if
comes
I
later.
disconnect, I gotta get back, right?
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
you're right.
Mm.
I didn't change anything big. But I'm just hoping that tomorrow when I continue, I'm gonna have that same feeling. Because I think I mentioned like last time that one of the problems, because I have so many that, we can fill a full season of podcast with it. But one of them is that uh, at the what I'm reading at the time, sometimes it also inspires me, like I mentioned. But then, if it's something serious, then I feel like I'm writing something serious. If it's something comic,
You're
then
very influenced by the
yeah,
world.
exactly. And
Mm.
then and it just doesn't. It's weird. It's like, I'm sure you've read, like, if you read a book, right? It's like really it's one style, and if you stop halfway through and you go to a different one, it's different style. It just feels weird, right? I don't know if
Mm.
you've got that.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah,
Yeah.
it
So
does. Yeah.
I get this
It's
problem I
when I
have
finish a
when I
book,
look
it's
at the
hard to
code.
jump into a different genre or
Yeah. Yeah.
did I say that weird?
So then how do you block the influence out, or not I don't know if
The
influence is the word.
distraction.
The,
I
the
don't think I get
feeling?
influence. For me, it's distraction. It's the
Yeah.
80,000 tabs I've got open on my
Yeah.
computer.
Yeah.
The fact that
Yeah.
I need yet another cup of tea, and then when I go down there, I see that there's something I want to poke in the garden, or discovered that we possibly got a rat hole in the garden. I've been going out
Oh,
there a lot and sticking sticks down it and trying to figure it out and looking to get a camera for it and
you
things.
haven't got something tugging on the stick the other end, have
No, but
you?
it's, I
Because
mean, I
that
got
would
a
be.
big stick down there, like big. So it's a really deep hole, and then there's the other end. Anyway,
Mm.
that is, and then but that's for another time. Talk about my rat
Mm.
problem
Okay. Yeah.
the
That is
rat.
definitely another podcast. That
Just
Rat
distraction.
holes.
Yeah,
yes.
rat holes. Yeah,
And
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
fridge. The fridge is quite a big distraction in my case.
Yeah.
Oh,
Cheese.
Mm.
Anyway,
oh.
but that's
Anyway,
really
so
good.
yeah, let's move on in the interest of time management.
Yes, that's
Um,
I
so
tried various things because
yeah.
yes, for me, I ended up with
Mm.
trying something new, which initially led me to doing what I love to do, which is research. I was like, oh, I can think of all these things I've been wanting to do, and which, those coffins I'm obsessed with from the museum had
Mhm.
me spending some time figuring out how to make miniature coffins and badgering my friend Andy into helping me make miniature coffins, which I then realized was not really helping with writer's block.
No,
It
probably
was just
not.
doing what I like to do. So I attempted mindfulness, which is very alien to me. I think I sent
Mm.
you guys some pictures of that. I went down to Dr. Neil's garden, which
Oh
is
yeah, yeah,
really
yeah.
nice.
Mm.
Without, like I just walked down there and sat there, and I put a timer on my phone. I was like, you've got to sit here for 10 minutes and not do anything. And it didn't inspire any writing, but I felt kind of better. And I suppose it did. I came back and I worked on something I've been
Mhm.
meaning to work on for a while. So that was good. And I was like, I'll keep this up and I'll go back, but I've not been back because it's, but I might. It was nice. So that kind
Did it
of.
work for you? Did it no, not really?
I don't know. I don't really understand mindfulness, like the being in the moment. Like my brain doesn't do that. It's like, oh, look, there's a bird and there's a thing, and then there's a man sitting on the bench behind me, and I was like, what's he doing here? He was convinced I was being weird, and I was, so I got really, but it was nice to sit there and not be doing stuff. And then I decided I'd just go with what I felt like doing to see if that inspired anything, which was just expensive. No, I bought lots of books, and that's when I got the
Oh
fish.
yeah, that's always.
Then I went and got a really tasty lunch. There's an amazing.
Oh,
it was very good.
What did you have?
There's a Korean sandwich place on Holy
Korean sandwich.
Yeah, it's amazing. So I had a rice witch, which is a sandwich with rice and seaweed wrap, and I had chicken in it and carrot and spicy wasabi, and it was so
nice.
good. Oh,
I'm so glad I had dinner already.
That sounds really good. Actually,
yeah, I went back the day after. I was like, I need more. So I had a night, and that was more productive actually. So
did you write something?
I didn't that day, but it was just so beautiful and sunny, and we've had no sun.
That's true.
The day after, it was a couple of days later, and I was just like, it was so beautiful. I had an appointment in town and a meeting and stuff, so I walked in because it was nice, and I don't like getting on the bus because then you might have to talk to people or sit next to people. And it was just so nice when I finished. I was like, I'm going to walk, so I walked into the Edinburgh, around the through and up by the castle and down the Royal Mile, and obviously back via the sandwich shop, and got myself a sandwich and sat by the Parliament for about an hour listening to music, and eventually needed the toilet, so had to go home. But then that evening went to the beach and we had pizza, and the next day I felt good. And I spent the entire day writing and working on stuff because I could, because I didn't have anything on and my son was at school. And I think for me that was part of it. I don't get any downtime. And like I'm on my own doing the child stuff and then the working and the writing and the stuff and just life, all the stuff I do the stuff. So the free time often to then be like, oh, you've got to go and write or stuff. It's not that writing's work because I love it, but I guess I'm a bit sulky like a teenager. I'm like, no, I want to have fun. And I think that's partly why I'm so distracted, is I'm just tired. So having had an entire day of just wandering, and I love walking. I love eating tasty sandwiches. Why should I realize? But anyway, that was good. So I worked on that story I was telling you about with the woman and the ghost with dementia, and then got on with the longer story I'm stuck on with the witches, and I've almost gotten that over the hurdle at the end, although I don't quite know how to finish it. But the more you write, if you keep it's like you do, if you keep writing, it just eventually sometimes pulls itself together. So that one was more effective, and I think what I learned is I actually do need to step back and say, today you do nothing, you don't pick up crap at the house, you don't worry about appointments, I need downtime.
You need to relax sometimes.
Yeah. Especially when it's sunny, because we don't see that very often.
That's
so
true.
It was effective, and I felt much better since. And today I would have probably done some stuff, but I mainly yelled at Virgin Media. So
well, I guess that's what they're there for.
Hey, did you call them, and then did someone with an Indian accent pick up and say his name was James?
no.
Or has that changed now? Because when I lived in the UK, which is now 15 years ago, it was always that. It was always, hello, this is Frank.
It's a lady called Manassa. She was very helpful, very kind, and they have fixed the problems. So
okay.
I wasn't the only person, and then eventually it just went to an automated thing anyway. Every time I kept on phoning back, they'd be like, oh, we are aware there are problems in your area. It's like, oh yes, of course you are. Me phoning again was going to help them fix it, obviously. Then eventually some vans appeared and they put a part in the thing out there. So it wasn't just me. All my neighbours were talking about it in our exciting WhatsApp group.
So
we mainly talk about Virgin Media and apples.
Fair enough.
And horses.
So have you got something you want to share with us? Writing wise?
Don't actually. I could read a bit of the dementia person story if I can find it. Where is it?
That would be nice. We can sit. Is that Pikachu on your bed?
Yes, that is Pikachu. That's not my Pikachu. Just so you know. I don't have a Pikachu. Should I start at the beginning? I could read you part.
Any way you like. Anything you.
Okay. Ali sat glaring at the record. John placed a cup of tea in front of her, then sat down heavily, groaning as he stretched out his leg. So what now? Nothing. She had no idea. Ali sipped at her tea, which was too hot, but it gave her more time to think things over. So, Ava was a snake. Teenage girls are horrible. I know this. I lived with you through your hormone-stricken years. Another sip of tea. It scolded as Ali gulped it down and her eyes watered. So? Do you have to start every sentence with the word so? Ali snapped. John opened his mouth and she could see the bloody word so forming on his lips. She snatched the record and threw it at him. It spun through the air and smacked into his chest. Ha! So, John replied, frustratingly. Ali groped around for something else to fling at him, but short of throwing her tea at his smug face, she had nothing. Her energy suddenly slumped. She was spent. The adrenaline rush that she'd been coasting on was gone. I don't know. I was hoping we'd find nothing back there. Somehow that would make the stupid diary feel less real. So? Bah! That one wasn't on purpose, John grimaced. Why don't you get in touch with Ava? I don't know. I don't know if I want to either. Anyway, it goes on, but...
I like it. It sounds like a real conversation to me that people would really have. You know, the dialogue, I think, is really genuine. You know, you've captured that really well.
Not good at dialogue.
And the things people say to each other.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. And you not consider yourself good at, or you're not comfortable writing dialogue, or?
It's fine. I'm comfortable writing dialogue when it's like these two are siblings. And I'm very comfortable about sibling dialogue, but if you ask me to write a romantic dialogue, I feel
a bit uncomfortable.
Yes, it's not anything I can do, and that's partly because I'm dead inside, but also because I'm not a smooshy kind of, you know, I'm
it's not my thing either.
I'm kind of I'm like a cat in a relationship. Half the time I want to punch you or scratch you or bite you, and then the other half I'm like, I love you. So I'm not, you can't write that. People wouldn't buy that in a romance.
Well, they might. You don't know. So, they might.
I reckon they'd buy anything in romance. Yeah, it's the biggest selling thing, you know?
Yeah. It's romance first and then crime, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been reading some smutty fantasy romance, but I've never really read any romance. I think it's called romantasy when it's fantasy romance. Some good stuff. I mean,
no, I can't say I normally go for the romantic novels, but unless it's like classics or something. But
I've never read a romance novel.
Oh, you must have read Jane Austen or something like that. I mean, that's romance, really, isn't it? No, what?
I've not. I refuse to read. I would not. I wouldn't even read it at school. I absolutely refuse
Really?
to.
Oh no, I love all that. I love all that.
We know you love that because you got that similar kind of style, actually.
Yeah.
Whenever I read your stories, Janet, I always think of.
I love all that classic-y stuff, like Bronte's and Austen. This is for me. I know it's a bit old-fashioned, but I love it.
Prejudice with zombies. Does that count?
Maybe.
I actually was angry at the end of it because I felt like I'd been tricked into reading Pride and Prejudice. So it was a bit.
Yeah.
I do want to read it though. I've got Pygmalion here that I've been trying to read for a while. Is it Pygmalion or is it
Pygmalion?
Maybe it's Vanity Fair. I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Classics. Yeah, I tried. I mean, I read Dickens like when I was in school, but then I wanted to go back to it because I'm pretty sure I read the abridged versions, and
I think that would be better. No.
You've got to read the whole thing.
Person. I think it should be abridged. Sorry. I'm going to get stoned to death by people. I'll beat it to death at the bookshop. Doesn't like Austen. Doesn't. It's not that I don't. I do like Dickens, but just I'm a bit like skip to the end. Through some of the paragraphs. It goes on.
Yeah, it does. But that's why I like it. I think because it goes on.
Well, you've got. I mean, if you think about it, there's
Everyone's different.
That's TV. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
The description is vital because they didn't have what we have, the rich entertainment that we have all at the tips of our fingers. So of course it's like that. But he being such a young person, I'm just
That's true, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've been fed stuff that just gets to the point so much.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I agree.
Fast, right? I mean, my kids, for example, can't sit through an old, I don't know, 70s film.
I know, yeah. It's all sound bites, isn't it? And TikTok videos.
Like the first 10 seconds, this looks boring.
Yeah.
Because there's not been an explosion or something.
I mean, is it possible that you have bad taste in films?
Sorry?
It's possible you have bad taste in films. Just gonna throw that one out there.
Might be, yeah.
Sorry.
But maybe it's just maybe the same things happen in writing.
Maybe,
but
If anyone even reads now. But,
yeah.
I think people,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of shorter books now, and that's not a bad thing. Sometimes it's
no,
nice.
yeah.
Mm.
Actually,
that.
yeah, I read a few over summer. I finished Sadie Smith, which that White Teeth. It took me ages, but it was really good. Loved it. But after that, I just thought that's it. Anything less than 200 pages now. I just went through 3 books, 200 pages in like 4 days each or something.
It's a sense of achievement as well.
Yeah.
They fit into bags better. I mean, like, I love Brandon Sanderson, but I used to have to The Way of Kings, but I had to strap them to the back of my bike if I didn't have a backpack because they didn't fit
Yeah.
the bag. And they're great books, but they're very big.
So shall I talk about my
Yes, we've got distracted.
So what was mine again? Well,
we went sailing. Which wasn't.
I went sailing.
And then you came back and wrote something. Yeah.
So I was going to go to the cafe and have a change of scene, but I decided I don't really like cafes, and it wouldn't work for me. I think sitting in a cafe because I don't like cafes and I don't like coffee. So I would have to drink tea, and I can have that at home. So I decided to go sailing, which is something I haven't done for years. And it was great because we had beautiful weather and it was perfect, really. Like the sea was perfect, the sky was perfect, and everything was perfect. So that inspired me the beginning of something which I've started to write, which I think is going to be part of my fairy tale stroke fable collection.
So a selkie or
yes, a mermaid.
A murderous one. Sorry,
maybe a bit. Yeah, it's going to be one who's a bit of a badass mermaid, maybe, rather than like a beautiful, kind one. She's going to have a bit of attitude. So that was what inspired me to write about the sea and mermaids, really, because I like imaginary creatures. So why not a mermaid? So yeah, and I think that worked better for me than having a cup of tea in a cafe and listening to people moaning about whatever people moan about. I don't know what people moan about.
They might not be moaning. They might be.
You might be happy.
Yes, exactly. They might not.
Yeah, that would be unusual. But yeah.
Was it the first time you went sailing or?
No. I've been sailing before. I used to sail.
Oh, okay.
I haven't been for ages, so I decided to go.
All right.
Okay. That comes back to what I was saying. You need to take time to do other stuff.
Yeah.
Especially with work and life and kids and jobs and all the rest of the junk. You don't. Yeah. Wow, it's.
So sometimes I think you have to do something completely different that takes you right away from what you normally do, and that can give you some new ideas. Because that's where ideas come from, isn't it? They come from experiences, and if you're always having the same experiences, you're not really going to have any new ideas.
Very true. I get a lot of ideas when running or sleeping, though.
Yeah.
So you're going to read it?
True. Yeah. It's not very long, but I will read it. Okay. So I've called the character Bessie just because I couldn't think of a better name, but I might change that name later. Bessie reefed in the mainsail and brought up the rudder, letting the little boat slide ashore on a gentle tide. She dropped anchor where the water was deep enough to keep the boat afloat, but shallow enough to wade ashore. The mermaid was waiting for her, sunning herself like a seal on a wide flat rock pitched at the exact point where the waves could toy with the sparkling sand spanning the beach. Frilly plumes of creamy white spray trimming the shoreline like a delicate ribbon of Victorian lacework. "Did you bring what I asked?" asked the mermaid, picking at a long braid of tangled hair draped over a lean bronze shoulder. Her voice was sweet and mellow, but edged with a salty huskiness. Bessie started a little as she lifted her knees over the final stretch of waves and stepped onto the sand. She shook the water from her feet and fished around in her pockets, drawing out a neat little brown package tied up like a parcel with string. Stretching out a tanned arm, she placed one hand on the rock and gently dropped the packet into the mermaid's hand with the other. As the mermaid splayed her fingers, Bessie started again. She hadn't reckoned with the thin wedges of skin between the mermaid's fingers and drew in a sharp breath. What's your name? She asked, her voice pitchy and high. We merfolk have no names, came the response. We are known only by the curve of our tails and the tint of our scales. That is all we need to know in the ocean. It is only you humans who place value on such things, my child. She flicked her hair from her shoulders, pouted, and clenched her fingers tightly round the packet in her hand. Sighing, she pulled at the string with her forefinger and flicked her tail against the rock, beating it like a cat's tail. Open it, whispered Bessie, pressing her body against the rock and trailing the toes of her left foot behind her, leaving a channel in the sand. And that's as far as I've got.
But Bessie's a touch enthralled by the mermaid.
Yeah. So I kind of have an idea of where that's going, but I haven't. It's going to be like a fable-y type fairy tale type to go with the collection that I've been working on. You know, because it's all about kind of mythical creatures and strange happenings and things that aren't real.
Yeah, there are a lot of Scottish ones, aren't there?
Yeah, so it would fit in with that. Yeah.
Do you guys have mermaid stuff there?
Yeah. There's a bit of mermaid stuff. Yeah, there's a bit of mermaid stuff going on here. Yeah. Apparently someone saw one. I think it was in the 19th century. I can't remember the exact story, but somebody saw one, apparently, but he was probably drunk.
They had to drink.
Whiskey country. So, yeah.
My grandmother saw a leprechaun, though, so, you know, I totally
believe okay.
Yeah.
So what was she drinking at the time?
They were in Ireland, so...
Yeah.
Apparently nicked some food of theirs and scuppered.
Oh. Well, they do play tricks on you, don't they?
I have no idea if she was a drinker. I never met her.
But if it was a leprechaun, maybe it was a green drink like creme de menthe or chartreuse or something.
Oh, I'll check with my dad. I think she maybe just didn't make dinner or something. Came up with a good story and a good excuse.
Yeah.
And
so, I guess we come to the end of our podcast. True. So what we should do before we finish it is come up with an idea for the next one.
What, during this one? Man.
Yeah.
That is a tall order.
It is a tall order, yeah. So today we've talked about the black hole of not being able to write.
Yeah.
Maybe the next podcast should be about once you've started something, like I started that story, how do you get over that hurdle of, okay, so you've got a page. How do you get over that hurdle of the next page and then the next page?
Yeah. Oh my God. Let me know when you figure it out.
Well, that.
That's I mean, let's see.
Yeah.
I've got nothing else on me apart from just get back to it, but it's never really worked that smoothly. But yeah.
But that could be the next topic.
Yeah. But you haven't got that trouble, have you? Neither of you. I mean, I can't imagine the two of you have, right?
No, I do sometimes, yeah. I mean, I've got quite a lot of first pages. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I've got a lot of ideas written down.
Yeah, me too. I have lots of ideas and lots of bits of paper that have ideas on.
You know what I really loved about what you said? Well, I mean, about you said I don't know where that's going, but I'm going to work with it, and I really like that. You know, and this is the kind of like this is what I've over the last couple of years accepted, is that it may not make complete sense where it's going, and the direction is not going to be set from the start, but I think you got to keep going with it. And that's what I love about the classics, is that they spend so much time on the character and it doesn't go anywhere, you know, and yet you find this really fully formed character, and that kind of gives me the confidence. You know, and that might work if I feel and believe in that, and then, you know, go for it next time. Usually it throws me off, and then it's like, oh, I gotta put a bomb here or something, you know, something's to go off, you know.
That's what I do when I can't think how to finish something. Just push the person off the cliff.
Kill
them now. Bombs.
Yeah. But maybe that's a topic for another podcast, is endings.
When you push someone off a cliff.
Endings. Do you just push? Yeah, exactly. So do you just kill them off quickly because you can't be bothered to finish, or do you let it carry on a bit more and try and Anyway, let's close the podcast there. So I'm going to stop the recording, and
You're not going to say bye to everyone. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Nice to meet
Thanks for
you.
listening.